This is my oregano plant. As you can tell, it's way overdue for a harvest, and that's exactly what we're going to do here today. I'm also going to show you guys 3 different methods that I use to dry my oregano, and then how I prepare it to be used in the kitchen. As I harvest this oregano, you'll notice I'm cutting pretty close to the base of the plant, which is good. I like to think of this as a well overdue haircut, and this plant hasn't gotten one in a long time. As I cut this back close to the base, it'll allow more new growth to form and start growing, meaning my next harvest will be even bigger than this one. Now that we have all of this oregano harvested, you can see it looks like a lot here, but I promise you once it's dried, it's not going to be that much. But let's move on to drying out all of this oregano. The first method I'd like to show you guys today is just using this outdoor herb drying rack. I found this on Amazon and I really like it, so if you're interested in one of these, I'll leave a link to it down in the description below. The reason I like this is because I used to just put my herbs on like a cookie sheet and leave it out in a sunny area. But if you get a little bit of wind, the wind will blow your herbs off that cookie sheet. You don't get that with this because once you zip it shut, your herbs are all stuck in there. It does take a little while to dry, but not too long. The second method I'd like to show you is just the bread tie method. With this, I'll just take my herbs, find the end of them, and then I'll tie a bread tie around them. And what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna end up hanging this inside the house. So as you can see, I'm just gonna tie this bread tie around here. Not too tight, but pretty tight. And then I'm gonna use another bread tie to make a hook. You can see there's a little hook there. So now we can just take this inside and put it in a relatively shaded area where it doesn't get too much light. My kitchen's usually pretty dark, so I can just leave it there. The last method I want to show you guys is my personal favorite because it's the fastest, and that's using a dehydrator. This is pretty easy. All you got to do is spread the herbs out on each of the racks in the dehydrator. And honestly, this only takes about an hour, 2 hours with oregano. And that's why it's my favorite method. It doesn't take very long at all, and it's easy. Now that we got just about all of our oregano loaded up into the dehydrator, all we gotta do now is put the lid on it and wait about an hour to 2 hours. For me, about an hour and a half later, I was left with this. Now that all of this oregano is dried out, we can go ahead and get all of this prepped and ready to be used in the kitchen. I wish there was a faster way to get all of this oregano stripped off of the stems, but for your sake, I sped it up so you don't have to watch the time-consuming process. As you can tell, I'm just pulling the stems through my fingers, and my fingers are pulling all of the leaves off of those stems as I do it, and those are just falling onto some paper bags that I got from the grocery store. Those make it really easy because once all of your oregano is pulled off of the stems, you can easily just pick up those bags and bend them and pour them to whatever you'd like to store your oregano into. Now that I got about half of this oregano stripped off of the stems, you'll see I'm pulling a couple big stems that were in there out. I wouldn't worry about this now. This is after I got it all stripped off. And all I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna run it through my hands to grind it up a little bit. I don't like my oregano very coarse. I like it more finely ground. And since it's super dry, it's really easy to just grind it up right in the palm of your hands. If you look close here, you'll be able to notice there is a good amount of stems that broke off while I was stripping it, and they're mixed in with that oregano. That's no problem. You'll see why here in a second. Yep, we don't want that. So all I'm gonna do for this is I'm just gonna take a colander and I'm gonna pour all of my oregano right in there, and then I'm just gonna sift it through here. This is gonna allow all of the nice finely ground oregano to sift right through those holes, and all of your big stems will be left in the colander. So now that all of this is almost sifted through here, see there's a little bit left, but there we go. So that's all the stems that the colander pulled out of there. I'll put this on the waste tray. I'll put that in the compost later. And now I'm just gonna pull out a couple stems that fell through the colander. But for the most part, what we're left here is with nice, finely ground, fresh oregano right from the garden. So now I can take my plastic container. You can see how nice these paper bags are right here, so that I said earlier, we can just pour this right in here. I did struggle a little bit here. I didn't want to make too much of a mess. Your girlfriend would not be happy about that, but it's okay because I had another paper bag underneath that, and we can just scoop all of this up and get that put right back into the container. And there you have it. Fresh oregano right from the garden, ready to be used in the kitchen.